So the Cybertruck is making grown men just cry like little girls. Jason Camissa has been gaining popularity in the Tesla community recently, as a lot of you have probably seen, and some of his automotive peers, competitors, and lifelong friends took a big issue with his review. They actually questioned his character, and it caused all sorts of drama. Well, one of his friends, a guy named Matt who runs a podcast, is about to apologize to Jason, as you're about to see, and you're also going to see Jason's reaction. But we're going to get into why Cybertruck is stirring all of this up. These are automotive journalists, and their livelihood is being stripped out from under them as the EV transition takes place. So,
I did a bad thing, as I do sometimes, because I'm a extremely imperfect and sometimes disastrous human being, frequently self-sabotaging. And most of you know that if you listen to this program. But I think it's important to start the show. And Jason Camise is here with us, and he's listening on the line right now. With an apology to Jason, and Jason, I had this conversation on the phone while I was in Finland, but I'm going to have it again, so everybody can hear it. I made two mistakes. I mean, I may have made factual errors in the podcast where I talked about his Cybertruck review last week, but that's not the mistakes that I necessarily want to talk about first. I really, I think I made two real mistakes that I think I need to publicly apologize for. One was the failure journalistically to talk about my friend's video, and make the whole thing about it without calling him first. That's not only a failure from a professional level, but on a friend level. Jason is my friend. I hope that he will continue to be my friend, and I do value my friendships more than I value any dumb car, or what I have to say about any dumb car. And that was a failure on my part, and I apologize to Jason, and I apologize to the audience for doing that. And I also made another mistake, which is that rather than just talking about the car in that episode, I made it about Jason, and I made it about his video. And I don't think that's a thing that friends should do. I don't think that's necessarily a thing that colleagues should do, even if they are, quote, competitors in the space. I think that because only a small number of people got access to the truck, and so many people were asking me about my thoughts, I felt like I was working with what I had, but in hindsight, that was a terrible mistake. I shouldn't have done it. I could have just said, Jason made a great video, and I disagree with some of the things that he said, and it could have been one sentence and moved on. And instead, I made like a whole thing about it. And I don't know if anyone, including Jason, will believe me, but I almost immediately regretted it. And before I knew Jason was upset, but I did almost immediately. I regretted doing the whole thing, and I regretted it for that reason. And so I want to just take the start of this show to acknowledge my mistakes, and to ask Jason for as a friend for his forgiveness for those transgressions, and to put it right at the beginning of the show so all of the audience can hear. And I hope that Jason will choose to remain my friend, because I really do enjoy his company as a great human. And I invited him on the show now to say whatever he wants. And so, hi.
And now I'm really pissed, because now you've ruined all the fucking drama that everyone thought was going to happen here, including me. No, I mean, look, thank you for that apology. I do actually believe it, because I heard the tone in your voice when you called me. There was no, you started the conversation with, I think you're mad at me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really fucking disappointed. And you just were like, I fucked up, I'm sorry. And went down this shame spiral, to use a clueless term. and I was shocked. I didn't expect that. And I think that your reaction there and then your reaction now really shows your character. And so if anyone wants to call that into question, use this as an example. This is how you act like a gentleman when you're called on something that I'll say you probably shouldn't have done. And so really, I respect the hell out of that. And thank you. You ruined half of my speech, which was prepared to just beat the shit out of you.
Well,
but
look,
the reality is,
I was in Finland in the dark by myself, and I've had days. I mean, we talked on a Tuesday or whatever the day it was, and I've had days to think about it since then, and I've been thinking about almost nothing but sitting here and letting you beat the shit out of me, which maybe I deserve.
You guys see what the Cybertruck is doing to grown men, just like spending so much time forgiving each other. And Jason actually wrote a 23-page document that he sent to Matt 1 minute before he had him on this podcast, because he quoted him and he had all these arguments laid out. Jason actually went to law school back in the day. He's got a law degree. And I think because Jason studied law, Jason wants to treat every company with fairness. And so he approached his review of the Cybertruck with this unbiased perspective. And that could be why, Tesla gave him the opportunity to review it. Maybe they had a feeling that he would take that direction. But I mean, not all automotive journalists are going to be able to come to terms with EVs. And, this guy didn't, and he attacked Jason for it. But I do applaud him for coming around. His name is Matt, and apologizing to Jason, and he's about to hear him out. And so we're about to dive into Tesla. So let's get after it.
And I'm going to admit that I'm not an expert in politics and sociology and economics and all the rest of this stuff. And the only thing I would say is, if you're going to hold Tesla to those standards of whether the company has a conscience and is doing different things, please just remember to apply that to all companies equally. And to that point, Your Honor, there is one of the pages, I don't even know, Zach, sorry about this, but I sort of called you out on that because I think that was really unfair to Tesla. Now, let me just state for a second, I'm not a Tesla fanboy. I don't own a Tesla. I don't own Tesla stock. I have no vested interest in either way. I have gone on record to say that the Model S Plaid track tuning is, quote, dangerous. I am happy to dish out tea when it needs to be dished, and I'm happy to give praise where it needs to be, but I try, and I'm saying I always get there, to be at least fair to everyone. And so what you were talking about, for example, was whether the company's conscience, sort of whether you can believe what they're saying. And the best example there, and it's in the fucking doc, sorry, Zach, is I was looking at this, you said Tesla has 30 EPA violations. For example,
it was 39.
Right. Okay, here it is. Okay, time code 1 hour 35 seconds.
Yeah.
Tesla took the quote was, Tesla took money for an unknown number of 2020 Roadsters that they have not delivered. There is over 30 EPA violations at the Fremont factory. They are majorly involved in union busting. They ran a 2019 massive Bitcoin pump and dump scam. To me, that is the context by which we have to look at the Cybertruck. And so what
I'll stand by that.
Okay. All right, fair. I'm not going to, by the way, I'm not going to dispute any of those facts.
The EPA website, Zach, has settled with Tesla over Clean Air Act violations. They paid a $275,000 penalty.
Perfect. That's great. I am, for the record, I'm not discounting any of those assertions. However, in August, Ford paid a $7.8 million Clean Air Act settlement for Econolines. And if I look up Ford's record, Ford has paid $563 million in penalties since 2000.
That's a lot.
I mean, yeah, that's before this year. That's before the $7.8 million in August. So my point.
So guys, look, I know some people are annoyed with Jason because, he's missed the Tesla story the last 5 years. So why is he getting praise in the Tesla community now? Well, I think it's because Jason has something that we all don't. And that's the trust and the credibility, the reputation within the automotive community. This guy, Matt, that he's talking to, he wouldn't listen to Tesla fanboys because they're Tesla fanboys. But Jason, he's got this reputation in the automotive world, and he is debunking a lot of FUD. There's a lot of FUD. I mean, this week, everyone's blowing up about 2 million Teslas got recalled when it's an over-the-air update. And same here. Tesla spends $275,000 on the clean air fine when Ford has spent $500 million over the years, but nobody wants to talk about it because Tesla is so controversial.
Uses 40 pounds of copper in the non-propulsion system. So that's just for devices like EVs are a different story because that's obviously all that copper. But internal combustion engines cars typically use 40 pounds. If you can eliminate 3/4 of that, you're saving 30 pounds of copper. And that's at current wholesale mass market copper prices. That's $130.
So has the resistance to this change been, have other companies wanted to do this and suppliers said, look, we already have the tooling, we work in 12 volt, it's the most common system, and this is just now, Tesla has to kick the door open and say, well, we need this for our shit. Okay.
Yeah, it was chicken and egg. I mean, I remember reading in the 1990s that GM was really pushing hard to move to 48 volts. And it was for this reason. It's cost saving per car, it's wire. And, remember that you save 30 pounds per car. That doesn't sound like much.
No,
but
it's a
you
lot.
Start saving
and
parts here, right?
$130 a car is a lot too.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Remember that like Mercedes will put red turn signals in their S-Class to save 13 cents a car versus amber ones, right?
Yeah.
So $130 is massive in terms of engineering car, and 30 pounds could be the difference between one EPA rating and the next one, which could result in CAFE fuel economy penalties, which could result in 3 more grams per CO2 of carbon dioxide. That's going to get them some horrible tax in Germany or something. So these are real significant gains. And so you're totally right that I downplayed the 48 volt mild hybrids. But those 48 volt mild hybrids already did exactly what this is doing on the propulsion side. But EV went way past 48 and went to 400 or 900 or 800, or 1,000.
Okay.
So,
noted, corrected. I appreciate the explanation.
Now I'm going to
look at this. This is beautiful. Cybertruck bringing old friends back together. And look, I know we've all been saying it for years. Tesla deletes parts, but now these guys are helping get that story to a larger audience. And what, $130 per car? That's what BYD makes in profit per car. So like they said, it is a big deal. Let's say Tesla gets to 20 million units and they make an extra $130 a car. That's in the billions in terms of a difference in profit. So I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. I thought it was a fascinating discussion. Let's jump ahead now. See, I gotta learn with this. Like, I didn't even put myself full screen for that little spiel I just had. I am thinking about doing this like as a live stream eventually as well. But I did this one as not a live stream today because we are just trying to get the hang of it, as you can see.
actually happened. Tesla puts a press release out saying NHTSA does not, they said this in their press release, NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety
Yeah, this is in regard to crash test results.
Administration, does not publish a star rating above 5.
Mm-hmm.
They said that. However, and this is where they got themselves into trouble, safety levels better than 5 are captured in the overall vehicle safety score, which is called VSS, that is provided to the manufacturers, where the Model S achieved a new combined record of 5.4 stars. It did not receive a 5.4 stars. It received a VSS of 5.4, which was, as is confirmed in my little document by a statement from NHTSA and the head of automotive safety, was actually a new record VSS of 5.4. So let's back up for a second. When an agency, so crash test ratings change over time, right? They're graded on a curve so that, because you know what's going to happen. Within a year or two, everyone's going to be engineering towards a 5-star rating, and then it does the consumer no good to have only 5 stars. The star rating is a very low resolution rating. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. 5 data points. That's it. It's all your choices. No decimals, no nothing. And you have to imagine that the people who designed this system made the 5-star mark either unattainable or something to reach towards. right? That's the goal. This is the best we think anyone can do given current standards. Tesla scored on that test of VSS, which is what the star rating is based on. They scored a 5.4. And I think what the press release was trying to accomplish, my conjecture, was to say other cars have hit a 5.0, but we want to find a way to differentiate ourselves. And in fact, we also want to point out that the system is broken. If the target, the best possible, was 5.0 and we hit 5.4 on that scale, you need to rescale this so that we get a 5.0 or 5-star rating and other companies get a 4, because otherwise the consumer can't differentiate between a Volvo 5-star and a Tesla 5-star when maybe that Volvo only scored 4.7.
Right. And more specifically, the math, Tesla spokesman explained that NHTSA presently defines 5 stars as a 10% or less risk of injury from combined and weighted crash scores. The Tesla Model S had a roughly 7% risk of injury using the same calculations. So that's the math behind the math.
Yeah. So Tesla went a little bit far in their press release by saying we earned 5.4 stars. They didn't. They earned 5 stars. But on the test, they earned 5.4 out of what was thought where 5.0 would have been the maximum rating, because the people who wrote it must have assumed that a 10% chance of injury or less is the maximum attainable value.
So Elon Musk does it again, exposing some US regulatory system as being outdated. He did it at SpaceX. Now he's doing it at Tesla because Tesla's vehicles continue to break the safety scores. And if you didn't catch it, basically the reason it's a problem is because you could have a Volvo score of 5, which is the max rating, but Tesla is breaking the ratings, getting 5.4s. But on consumer reports, they're just seeing 2 5-stars. They're seeing Volvo 5-star, Tesla 5-star. So they don't actually know that Tesla vehicles are safer. Cybertruck is not only going to probably break every record ever, but you can see that it is breaking grown men. And you know what? It's time. Cybertruck is really the dagger in the internal combustion engine industry. And, I feel for these guys as they see what they cover go into oblivion. I mean, that would make you question what you're doing with your life. And that's real. And I could see why, Matt here got upset, but I'm happy to see him come around. And look, we got news today that Cybertruck is going to be produced at Giga Mexico. This thing is going to far outseed 250,000 units, it looks like. And look, guys, I want to get your opinion on what you think about this format. I know today's a slower video, and I know it doesn't enable me to pull in tweets as easily and flawlessly as I normally edit. But I think the advantages of these kinds of videos is it doesn't take as much time for me in the editing process, so I can probably pump out more content. It enables me to bring guests onto the show. So I don't think I'm going to completely rid of the editing process, but I do want to have kind of a more generalized ability. Like if something works better this way, something works better this way. I do want to, I don't want to be a loner just cooped up in my apartment all the time, talking to the camera and editing videos. I want to have some guests on the show from time to time. So let me know what you guys think, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.